Welcome to Movie Speeching. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take good care. Red Cliff is the name of the movie. Please like and subscribe to get every update. The film begins in 208 AD in China, at the end of the Eastern Han Dynasty. The mild-mannered Emperor Shen meets with his officials and troops as the Imperial Lord, Prime Minister Cao Cao, proposes the edict to abolish the rebellion led by the southern warlords Sun Quan and Liu Bei. Excited, the Emperor had such reservations about waging another war so soon that he reluctantly granted his request because he had so much influence over the empire. Senator Kong was very angry. He erroneously protested the decision to remind the court that Liu Bei, a distant uncle of Emperor Shen, and the soon-to-be Duke Sun Quan were not intended, rebellious, and may have unwittingly become a pawn and count on Cao's rise to power shortly after being beheaded for his opposition with the empire's full support in his Cao. Endeavor sent his massive army of soldiers and cavalry to destroy Jing province and conquer the lands of. After the chaotic invasion, the people evacuated their homes. They were forced to retreat under the protection of Lu's sworn brothers, Guan Yu and Zhongfei, after witnessing Count Cao's battalion preparing to attack in wedge formation. Councillor Liu Bei Zhigaliang reported the situation to Zhang Fei, and then Liu Bei worried for the safety of the farmers amid the chaos in the village. Liu Bei's best warrior, General Zhao Yun, tries to save his lord's family to get back his infant son when the woman sacrifices herself by throwing herself into a well to help him escape after put the baby in his cloth bag. Wave of soldiers and escaped on his horse elsewhere. Zhongfei used his shield tactic to blind charging enemy cavalry and attack them with spears. Zhuge Liang escorted Guan Yu into battle as the mighty warrior fought through the attack shortly after Zhao Yun joined the army, eliminating most of Cao Cao's frontline cavalry while carefully protecting his child demons. Realizing that they would soon be overrun by many enemy troops, Zhuge Liang ordered the men were to hold the line and protect civilians during their retreat. Guan Yu led the battalion's defense while his brother oversaw the evacuation elsewhere. Zhao Ying successfully returned the baby to Liu Bei while also reporting the dark fate of the two young ladies while the Cao persecuted Guan Yu, the remaining soldier, on the battlefield surrendered only to see him steal the prime minister's horse and war flag. Eventually, the fighting subsided and civilians returned to the village while the wounded were treated during the council lunch. Zhuge Liang eagerly told Liu Bei that he would venture to Jiangdong to seek an alliance between his lord and Sun Quan to push Cao Cao back north, while the provincial commanders Jing, Kai Mao, and Zhong Yun entrusted Cao Cao with a large number of naval troops and battleships as well as hand-drawn strategic maps from Wu to track Liu Bei's forces. Meanwhile, Zhuge Liang meets with Sun Quan at his royal palace to present their dilemma regarding Cao Cao's belief that they cannot surrender to a tyrant. His impassioned speech about an alliance caused officials to question whether their leaders should fight alongside Liu Bei, but highlighted all the risks involved. Sun Quan said he had to think about his final decision the next day. Zhigaliang, with the help of advisor Lu Su, visited Viceroy Zhou Yu of Foreign Affairs and his military camp at Chen Nam in the hope that he would be persuaded to secure the alliance. He felt somewhat impressed seeing his army in action, an old-fashioned attack known as goose training under the guidance of Commander Gone Crossing. He then sees Zhou suddenly stop his exercise to fix a boy's flute after he notices that it is out of tune with his work to attract the audience. With the Viceroy none too happy to hear his erroneous assumptions about military strategy, Zhou Yu then faces off with his army to determine who stole the buffalo from the boy's grandfather in the rice fields, threatening them with the death penalty. Even though he deduced that the culprit of the mud shoes, he ordered their group to walk in the mud to dirty everyone's shoes, giving them a chance Monday to make up for the mistake of Gone Sing chasing the buffalo away. The men knelt and asked the old man for forgiveness right after Joey headed to the stables and helped his wife Xiao Chao with a pregnant horse first that helped the cow give birth. Zhigaliang assisted by gently removing the completely stuck leg. In gratitude, the viceroy welcomed him to his court and accompanied him in playing an intricate melody with Guxin. Both men gave exceptional performances and felt impressed with him. He and his wife then discussed the call to join the fight elsewhere. Cao Cao is excited about his drawing of Xiao Chao and promises to steal her away from Joey. When the time came, he met with Kai Mao and his generals about their upcoming attack to invade the state of Wu. Boarding one of the ships of his massive naval command on land, large numbers of his infantry and cavalry marched side by side. Fleet the next day, Sun Quan received advice from his sisters Sun Shangshang to stand firm after receiving word from Cao Cao ordering the entire country to surrender. Joyu appears, destroys the Lord's letter, and entrusts Sunkwon a bow to inspire him to hunt while thinking. They immediately entered a foggy field with several horsemen in search of a tiger whom Joyu compared to a cow because of its cunning and method in their conversation. Sun Shangshong discovered the beast near the tall grass and shot it with an arrow to lure it out of its hiding place. When they stopped, the viceroy reminded the uneasy Sun Quan that he was a strategic administrator and that their forces had better naval expertise to counter Saw's forces. He gave him an arrow in the hope that he would not hesitate to kill the tiger as he did the enemy lord. Leaving alone, Sun Quan bravely faced the hungry beast even after falling off his horse after a successful hunt. In the end, he accepted the alliance and fought against the bull by promoting Joyu as viceroy, Changpu as viceroy, and Lu Su as advisor commander, making Zhugliang very happy. Later, Joyu helps his pregnant wife write letters by making love to her at nightfall before preparing for war. The next morning, he and Zhuge Liang went to the Lubei military camp to introduce themselves to Zhao Yun, who fiercely trained soldiers with strategic attacks. He also meets Guan Yu, who teaches young children to read, and a noisy Zhangfei who is busy with his calligraphy. He eventually meets Liu Bei again at a craft station to be grateful for agreeing to the friendly alliance. Joyu inspires the men with a speech using woven sandals as an example to show that the keys to a great army hold it together so that no one can separate it as soon as one person impatient son, Shanshan, appears. Eager to join the Vice King in the war despite his inexperience, then she puts Lusu's horse to sleep after being insulted by him accidentally letting Joey Yu and Zhuge Liang escape before she could argue with them in the evening. Cao Cao enjoys a party while being entertained by dancers, one of whom he falls in love with. He was amused when he received a blank letter from Sun Quan beheading the courtier's messenger. While inquiring with those involved in the alliance the next day, the messenger's sacrifice was honored by the Qian officials. Zhao Yin also reported that he joined the Gongxing in training allied army despite minor differences in the code of conduct with whatever was said by Joey. You reunite with the group to form a counterattack against Count Sal's army and Navy battalion. He expected the attacks to occur at Red Cliff by nightfall, although Cao Cao wanted the ships to act as a distraction while 2,000 troops caught them off guard on land. Immediately, Sal's horsemen charged down the road to Red Cliff when they stopped when they saw Zhou's land turtle blocking the way. This tactic allowed Sun Shangshang and his archers to eliminate some of the distracted soldiers. The surviving cavalrymen pursue the women across the desert only to be ambushed by Allied forces in a trigram formation, trapping them in a tortoise-shell-like maze with no escape. Enemy invaders die while being attacked by them. Cover immediately after launching an attack on the cavalrymen, while Guanya managed the front line attack by fighting the infantrymen with their weapons. Zhao Yun quickly appeared, dodging spikes thrown at him as he ran through another wave of enemies. Burly Zongfin took down one of the cavalrymen and threw a group of soldiers at Aiden despite being outnumbered. Zhao Yun used his incredible fencing skills to quell the invaders. Joey then orders his men to capture the rest of the council and is stabbed. Frustrated with the attack, the enemy commander ordered everyone into a circular defensive position with shields and spears. Going out to push the soldiers to break the formation, Zhao Yun and Zhongfei surrounded them on horseback while waving their shields, which was an effective move. The scene becomes chaotic as Count Sal's army is overwhelmed by the allies in a free-for-all battle. Joy left his position and entered the battlefield with his horse much to Zhuge Liang's surprise. He skillfully weathered the attack while parrying an arrow. In the end, the invaders were defeated and he allowed the commander and the remaining troops to return unharmed and to their lord. As soon as one of the messengers reported that the Star Earl's naval fleet was approaching Red Cliff elsewhere, Cao Cao remained unfazed by the failure of his ground force to eliminate the force. Allied forces, confident that he could even gain a chance at an underwater attack, he then ordered his men to set up camp near the area. Then Zhou Yu and the group returned. Spire was at Red Cliff to witness the ship approaching the riverbank while deciding to wait for Cao Sal's next move. The army applauded Zhou for their momentary victory afterward. The man Xiao Chao injured her husband while showing affection to him, and at the same time the warriors and officials toasted the viceroy's plan by wholeheartedly enjoying drinks as they retired. Rest. Liu Bei asked Sun Quan to allow him to settle 100,000 refugees in Jinju City after defeating Cao Cao. He then congratulated his son Chang for displaying extraordinary sealing during the battle, causing Sun Quan blessed him to marry her sister to strengthen their alliance. Feeling further disrespected by her brother, she approached Liu Bei and knocked him out with an acupuncture blow. Zhuge Liang comforted her when she objected to arranged marriages while they briefly chatted with her. He planned to scout the naval fleet the next morning. Cao Cao likes to be a slave to the dancer, who calls her Tu Chao elsewhere. Zhuge Liang fears that one day he and Zhou will be on opposite sides and lose their friendship. Then discuss how the bull can break through Chich Nam's defenses, believing that Kai Mao and Zhang Yun must be eliminated because of his plan. Zhuge Liang sends the dub to the enemy camp to maintain main contact with the movie. Ending when Cao Cao and his officials enjoy the Kuju Ball match, they discuss preparations for the upcoming battle at Red Cliff. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.